Good evening. Today is Thursday, January 9th, 2020. I now call this Fairfield City School District Board of Education organizational meeting to order. And the first thing we need to do is issue the oath of office to the newly elected board members. Mrs. Lane, will you take care of that for us? So we'll need Mrs. Carrie O'Neill, Mrs. Belina Shorter, and Mrs. Jerry Lynn Gundrum to come down to the front. Thank you.
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge your duties as member of the Board of Education of the Fairfield City School District, Butler County, Ohio, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office and until your successor is elected and qualified? The answer is I do. Thank you. Congratulations.
Well, now that you're all seated, would you please stand? And Mrs. O'Neill, will you lead us in the pledge?
Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mrs. O'Neill. Mrs. Lane, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Begley?
Here.
Mr. Birding?
Present.
Mrs. Gundrum?
Here.
Mrs. O'Neill?
Here.
Mrs. Shorter?
Here.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is the election of President of the Fairfield Board of Education for 2020. I now open the floor for nominations.
I'd like to nominate Michael Birding. Second.
Are there any other nominations? Okay, at this time, I entertain a motion to close the nominations and vote for Michael Birding as president for 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Mrs. Lane, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Begley?
Yes.
Mrs. Gundrum?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Neill?
Yes.
Mrs. Shorter?
Yes.
Mr. Birding?
Yes. Motion passes, and Michael Birding is elected president of the board for 2020.
Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge your duties as Board President of the Board of Education of the Fairfield City School District, Butler County, Ohio, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office and until your successor is elected and qualified? The answer is I do.
I do.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, Mrs. Lane, if you'll please acknowledge in the minutes that the oath was administered to the president.
I will.
Okay, at this time, I will entertain nominations for vice president of the Board of Education for 2020.
I'd like to nominate Brian Begley.
I second that.
Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to close the nominations and to vote for Brian Begley as Vice President of the Fairfield Board of Education for 2020. I will make the motion to close the nominations. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any comments or discussion? Mrs. Lane, will you call the roll, please?
Mr. Birding?
Yes?
Mrs. Gundrum?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Neill?
Yes.
Mrs. Shorter?
Yes.
Mr. Begley?
Yes.
Okay, Brian Bagley is elected Vice President of the Fairfield Board of Education for 2020. Probably should leave the papers down there until she's getting her steps in tonight.
Will you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that you will faithfully and impartially discharge your duties as Board Vice President of the Board of Education of the Fairfield City School District, Butler County, Ohio, to the best of your ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during your continuance in said office and until your successor is elected and qualified? The answer is I do. I do. Congratulations.
Okay, Mrs. Lane, if you will please acknowledge in the minutes that the oath was given to the Vice President.
I will.
And then I will turn the meeting over to you for new business or Mr. Smith, for new business and board recommendations.
Mr. Birdie and members of the board, we have several items for your consideration under new business and board recommendations. Letter A, establish 2020 meeting dates, times, and locations, ORC 3313.15. Suggestion for work sessions Thursday, February 6th, Thursday, March 5th, Thursday, May 7th, Thursday, June 4th, Thursday, August 6th, Thursday, September 3rd, Thursday, October 1, Thursday, November 5th. Time 6:30 p.m. Location Fairfield Administration Building, large conference room, 4641 Bach Lane. It should be noted there will be no work session in July and December. For regular sessions, suggestions Thursday, February 20th, Thursday, March 19, Thursday, April 16, Thursday, May 21, Thursday, June 25th, Thursday, July 16th, Thursday, August 20, Thursday, September 17, Thursday, October 15, Thursday, November 19, and Thursday, December 10. Time would be 6:30 p.m. Location, Fairfield Senior High School, Catherine D. Milligan Community Room, 8800 Holden Boulevard. Exception, the June 25th, 2020 meeting will take place at the Fairfield Administration Building. Letter B, consider establishment of a board service fund for 2020 in the amount of $9,942. Letter C, recommend approval of the following standing authorizations for 2020. This time I'll turn it over to Nancy.
Authorize the treasurer to secure advances from the auditor when funds are available and payable to the district. Number 2, authorize the treasurer to borrow short-term funds as needed for cash flow purposes. Number 3, authorize the treasurer to invest inactive funds whenever funds are available. Number 4, authorize the treasurer to modify appropriations and advance money from fund to fund as needed. Modifications must then be presented to the board for approval. Number 5, authorize the treasurer to pay all bills within the limits of the appropriation resolution as bills are received and when the merchandise has been received in good condition. Number 6, authorize the treasurer to utilize a legal firm of Dinsmore and Scholl when fiscal legal opinions are required. And number 7, authorize the treasurer to dispose of assets or property not exceeding $10,000 in value that are no longer needed. Mr. Smith?
Number 8, authorize superintendent or designee to act as purchasing agent for the district to make purchases of supplies and/or services within the limits of the appropriation measure. Number 9, authorize the superintendent or designee during periods when this board is not in session to make offers of employment directly to candidates for either teaching or non-teaching positions on behalf of this board, and to acknowledge acceptance of such offers on behalf of this board, subject to a subsequent vote of ratification by this board, provided, however, that upon ratification by this board, the employment shall be deemed effective as of the date and time of the employee's acceptance of the superintendent's office. Nothing in this resolution shall require the Board of Education to employ or continue to employ an individual who has not provided a criminal records check satisfactory to the board or who has not satisfied any other prerequisite to employment created by law or board policy. Number 10, authorize the superintendent or designee on behalf of this board to accept resignations which have been submitted by employees during times when this board is not in session, subject to ratification by this board, provided, however, that upon ratification by this board, such resignations shall be deemed effective as of the date and time of the superintendent's or designee's acceptance. Number 11, authorize the superintendent or designee to appoint substitute support staff as necessary within the limits of the annual appropriation resolution. Number 12, authorize the Director of Curriculum and Instruction, Assistant Superintendent, Director of Special Services, and Director of Business Operations to approve professional day requests for professional and support employees for state meetings, workshops, and events in an amount not to exceed the limits in the annual appropriation, board policy, and negotiated contracts. 13, authorize members of the board to attend workshops, seminars, and meetings for professional development and to benefit the academic and financial status of the district. 14, recommend that in accordance with Section 331326 ORC, that the board waive the reading of minutes from previous meetings. That concludes the items that we have for your consideration under new business and board recommendations. At this point, I'll turn it back to Mr. Birding for item D, appointments to OSBA and city committees.
Thank you, Mrs. Lane and Mr. Smith. At this time, we need to appoint a legislative liaison, and I was wondering if Mrs. Shorter would be interested in continuing to do that.
Definitely.
On the Parks and Recreation Board, we have word that Chrissy Zaboral is still interested in serving that for
Yes.
our district. And Planning Commission, Mr. Begley, would you like to continue that role?
Yes, I will.
Okay, does any board member have any request to have any of items A through D voted on separately? Okay, hearing none, at this time, I will entertain a motion to accept recommendations A through D.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Any comments, concerns? Mrs. Lane, will you call the roll, please?
Mrs. O'Neill?
Yes.
Mrs. Gundrum?
Yes.
Mr. Birding?
Yes.
Mr. Begley?
Yes.
Mrs. Shorter?
Yes.
Motion passes.